What is going on, everybody? Back again today, and as you can see, I am not in my normal recording area. If you saw the last video that I uploaded, you'll know that me and my wife, we did a big 3-day, 4-day move. It required a lot of travel and driving. We did make it to our destination safely. Everything's going fine. So, yeah, this is, if I do upload anything, this is going to be what the background looks like for the time being. So anyway, but not here to talk about that today. What I'm here to talk about today is this new, the first like DC Comics real crossover big event that we're going to be getting since Death Metal, and it's called Dark Crisis. And it's a giant load of fuckery, or at least it sounds like it. It sounds like, if you don't know what it is, I highly recommend you either stop watching this video and go do some research on it, or right after you watch this video, go do some research on it. Because basically, it seems like this Dark Crisis event is going to be used to sort of initiate 5G, which was a plan proposed, I think, by Dan DiDio back when he was running DC Comics back in the day, before they canned him. And for those of you that don't know, the whole point of 5G was to basically replace Superman, basically all of DC's A-list characters, Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, Green Lantern, Flash, Aquaman, replace all of them with newer, younger versions. Like Superman's son, Jonathan Kent, was going to become the new Superman. Jace Fox, Lucius Fox's other son, not Batwing, but the other. He has a son named, what's his son's name? Lucas Fox. Luke Fox, I think is what his name is. Luke Fox was going to end up is Batwing, but he has another son named Jace, and Jace is going to be the new Batman. A new Wonder Woman, a new everything, new all these new characters. And it was going to be a way for DC to kind of like initiate something new, a grand new era of DC, unlike anything that had come before. But it's a load of shit. The reason it's a load of shit is because, and I want to put this disclaimer out there right away, it has nothing to do with like Jace Fox being a black guy and therefore the new Batman being black. It has nothing to do with how Jonathan Kent is now bisexual and is interested in both men and women. It has nothing to do with that. If people like or don't like that, that's their own prerogative. But the overall reason why this is a bad idea and this is just not going to work is something else entirely. And that's the fact that, like, this has been tried before. Like, they've tried to kill off A-list characters and replace them with new versions. They broke Batman's back and put John Paul Valley as Batman, and then Batman died in Final Crisis, and Dick Grayson, the character that most people would think stands the best chance of being accepted as the new Batman, they replaced Bruce Wayne with Dick Grayson. But inevitably, it became very clear to them after only a short amount of time went by that, like, we're going to have to bring Bruce back. We're going to have to. And that's how this shit always goes. It's they replace the A-list characters, or maybe one A-list character at a time, but sooner or later they always bring the A-list, the original, back in the form of a reboot, or it just comes back from the dead in a bullshit way. It's been done a million times over. So anyone out there who thinks that this new initiative with like John Kent as Superman and Jace Fox as Batman, all of you out there who think that this is going to stick and this is going to be some like new permanent thing, I hate to break it to you, but you're more than likely wrong. It has never worked in the past. It's been tried before and it's never worked in the past. So I don't see why it would work now. But why does DC try to do this type of stuff to begin with? The changing of the characters. Well, it's because at a certain point in your story, in the overall arcing story of DC, you kind of just run out of ideas. or at least they think they do. But really, they're just not challenging themselves enough, and I'm going to explain what I mean by that. But they think that in order to move forward, this is the next step. This is what has to be done. The characters have to be changed to a new guy in the bat suit, a new guy wearing the Superman costume, and that this will spawn new interest in DC, because in DC Comics specifically, because it's a brand new character. It's a brand new character, and it's still Superman, but it's a different guy in the costume. So this brand new character can be something different. They can make him a character that appeals to new readers and other people who, it's kind of like what they're doing, like it's a black guy who's Batman now, and it's a bisexual guy that's Superman, appealing to people that didn't like the fact that all the A-list characters before were straight white people, So they think this is the answer, but this isn't the answer either. And in order to figure out what the real answer is and what the right thing to do is, in order to revitalize, renew your comic book franchise, and not even comic book franchise, any long, really lengthy story that is a franchise, like Star Wars. Well, I don't know. Star Wars is kind of timeless, but really this only applies to stuff like DC and Marvel. It's interesting, but it really only does. But the only way to revitalize something like a long-standing comic book franchise with lots and lots of continuity and lore and backstory to it, the only way to really revitalize and renew something like that is to do a complete hard reset. Just shake the Etch-a-Sketch hard. And the reason for that is this. I was looking around. I wanted to try and figure out how much DC lore is there really since the last time they did a really big reboot, like a real hard reset, shake the Etch-a-Sketch. And that was Crisis on Infinite Earths in 1986. That was the last time they really shook the Etch-a-Sketch of DC and started from square one and built it back up all the way to 2011, basically, when we got Flashpoint. So, how much lore is there in DC from Crisis on Infinite Earths to Flashpoint? Well, I started looking around on the internet, and I found this page. It's called Collected Editions. You can see the URL up here if you want to look at it. This is the DC Comics trade paperback timeline. So, for those of you who don't know, a trade paperback is comic books come out once a month, sometimes twice a month, in the single issue, almost like magazine format. After about usually 4 to 6 of those are published, and that usually those 4 to 6 are all, it's parts 1 through 6 of a particular story arc. Those get bound together into what's called a trade paperback. So that instead of just getting one piece of a story, it's the whole story arc, chapters 1 through 4, 1 through 6, whatever it was, collected together. So this is a web page that tells you how to read all of DC from Crisis on Infinite Earths all the way through New 52. But I only stopped at New 52 because I wanted to see how much it was from Crisis on Infinite Earths to New 52 to Flashpoint. So this is the list of the graphic novels, and they have them listed here: Batman Year One, Catwoman, Her Sister's Keeper. There's some dialogue in between that explains some of these events, this event or whatnot takes place simultaneously with this one listed below it, so they technically happen this and that. So yeah, this is the list. This is as close as you're going to get to a streamlined reading order for DC between Crisis on Infinite Earths and Flashpoint. So what I did was I copy and pasted all this into a Word document, and I removed all this in between shit here, all this the dialogue, and it's just the list of the stuff to read of the graphic novels, the trade paperbacks, and here it is in a Word document, and it's single spaced, nothing in between it, and as you can see on here, it's 24 pages long. That's how much content, published comic book content there is for you to read between Crisis on Infinite Earths and Flashpoint. If you were to print this list out, it would be 24 full pages of computer paper long. That is a lot of shit. And once I saw this, all of my suspicions about the real reason comics have to do a hard reset every 25 to 30 years, all of my suspicions as to why that is true were just verified. It's because there's too much. There's too much. As cool as it is to have a set fan base, you want to bring in new people. The reason that for this is because inevitably some people are going to latch onto comic books in their like teenage years, young adult years, anywhere from like 12, 10, late childhood through college. But somewhere along the way, you're going to inevitably lose some of those people as, how do I want to word this, as like loyal customers, because reality is going to set in. They're going to finally get done with college or trade school, whatever the hell they're doing. They're going to get a full-time career, a full-time job. They're going to find someone to spend the rest of their life with. They're going to settle down, and they're going to have real world adult shit to handle. And so the idea of them spending all this money every week on comics is going to just go right out the window. So some people will stick with it. Some people will stick with it all the way until they're 80 years old, 80 years old, and they're dying. They'll still stick with it. But you're inevitably going to lose some people, so you need to replace those people that you lose along the way with the next generation of teenagers and young adults and late childhood kids. And the way you do that, or let me put it this way, the way you don't do that is by having this gigantic list of shit that's like, it's like a training program. It's like a curriculum. It's huge. 24 pages long, huge. So you've got this 10-year-old kid or 15, 16, let's say 16 and 16 to like 22, because it's around that age that kids start to have part-time jobs and be able to buy their own shit. So you got this 16 to 22-year-old kid, and you're like, you're DC Comics, you want to get them interested in it. You want to get them to read it and start being loyal customers. And they go, oh, okay. Superman, Batman, I kind of know about those guys. Let's check it out. So they go to the comic book store and they start to look into it, and they slowly but surely, and sometimes it's not as slowly as you might think, begin to realize that in order for them to catch up to where the story is currently, they have a reading list 24 pages long to catch up on. And that's when this next generation that you're trying to recruit says, fuck this bullshit, not happening, not doing it. A list 24 pages long, nope, not doing it. That is why every 25 to 30 years, a hard restart, a hard shaking of the Etch-a-Sketch is necessary so that you can offer the next generation of young people, teenagers, young adults, a fresh jumping on point. Now, some of you might say, DC tried that. DC tried that in 2011 with the New 52, and it didn't work. Well, I have two counterpoints. One, they didn't really commit to a full restart. They kept Batman's continuity intact, and they kept Green Lantern's continuity intact, and you cannot do that. You cannot do that, because this is a collected universe where everyone's stories are intertwined with each other's. So you can't change all these other characters, the events of their lives and their stories, but have these two stay the same. It doesn't work, because they're all intertwined. So they kind of shot themselves in the foot from the get-go by not doing a complete, full, hard restart. They didn't do it. And then 2, they also kind of shot themselves in the foot because I'm not saying I know how to accomplish this because I don't, but the price of comics and the ever increasing nature of the price in comics has got to come down. Either the price has got to come down, or you got to find a way to start giving people more for their dollar. Because paying $5 to $10 for a single 32-page issue of a comic book, no. And that's also where DC shot themselves in the foot, because I believe their New 52 titles were, most of them were like $2.99, right? But some of the major ones, the bigger ones, were $3.99. So we're just gonna say $3.50. We'll break it even there. So $3.50, and then the way they released the New 52 was every week. There's 52 weeks in a year, so every week of the first year of the New 52, they added a new monthly series to the full load. So after a year, but also each month you were getting the next issue of a previously released series. So after the first full year of the New 52 came full circle, they were trying to sell people 52 comic books a month. So let's do the math on that. 52 times 3.5, that's $182 a month. And that's a little over $2,000 a year. That's a lot of money to be asking like a high schooler or college student with a part-time job to spend on comic books, especially when they're in adolescence. They're a teenager, they're in high school or college, and they've got other shit going on. They want to go hang out with friends and go see movies and go on, like, guys want to take girls on dates, or maybe the girl wants to pay. I don't fucking know, girl wants to take the guy. They have other shit that they want to spend their money on, and they're most likely only working part-time. And those of them out there that are working full-time, they're working full-time because they don't have the luxury of working part-time. They need to work full-time in order to pay all their expenses and their bills, which means they definitely don't have the extra like $180-something lying around each month to spend on comic books. So you gotta find a way to bring the price down. That was a big problem of the New 52. Sell less comics. Why did it need to be? I get it, it's a cute little idea, 52, the New 52, so 52 series. No, it's called the New 52 because there are 52 alternate realities, and they've all been revamped. Great. Doesn't mean you have to sell 52 monthly series. It should have been like 12. And something to support my opinion on that is looking at another comic book company that back in just a year after DC, and DC did their Flashpoint New 52 at the end of 2011. In 2012, Valiant Comics came out of the woodwork with a crazy ass restart, like a hard reset. They took their entire comic book continuity of all of it. They took the entire continuity of their comic book universe all the way back to square one, and what were they publishing at first? They had X-O Manowar, Bloodshot, Harbinger, Archer and Armstrong. Down the road we got Shadow Man, Quantum, and Woody. Like 7 to 12 series they were publishing a month. So, I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. 12 times 3.5, that's $42. That's much better than 180 something. It's still a little high in my opinion, but it's a lot better than 180, I'll tell you that right now, a month. So, yeah. With this Dark Crisis thing, it's going to just be, whatever it sets up, it's not going to last. So those of you out there who think that we're entering into a brand new era for DC that's going to it's going to last for age. No, it's not going to last. It's going to get rebooted, revamped, because at this point DC is the king of flip-flopping on their own decisions. They did New 52. Like, we're going to do a complete restart, but not really. And then they flip-flopped on that with Rebirth. Like, oh, actually, we're going to set it back to the way it was before. And then they flip-flopped on that with Dark Knight's Metal and Death Metal. Like, oh, actually, we're going to try and just mesh everything together and say it all fits. And they are just the king of flip-flop, flip-flop. We're doing this. No, we're not. We're doing this. No, we're not. So, whatever this Dark Crisis, like, proposes to set up, it's not going to last. It's not going to stick around. It's going to get revamped, rebooted, redone, thrown away sooner or later. And sooner or later, more likely sooner than later, we're going to have Bruce Wayne back in the Batsuit, and Clark Kent Superman, and Diana Prince Wonder. We're going to have all the regular A-listers back sooner or later. Because it's only a matter of time until DC realizes that their comic book universe is continuity and story and narrative wise. Their comic book universe is it's absolutely fucked. It's fucked and it's twofold. It's even if there weren't all the continuity flip flop back and forth bullshit that had happened in the last 10 years or so, even if that wasn't there, it would still be too long. Like, think about it like this: in 2022 to back to 1986, we're at 36 years. Even if there hadn't been the continuity flip-flop back and forth that jumbled everything up, the Rebirth, the New 52, then the DCU, and then the Rebirth, and then the Death Metal. Even if that had not happened, you saw that list of 24 pages. That was just from 1986 to 2011, and we're in 2022 now. So you can add another 11 years onto that. I think I had that math right. So that list would be even longer. It's such a giant gatekeeper, that giant list of stuff like, oh, you want to be into DC? Great. Here's all the catching up you have to do. It's never going to work, and it's never going to bring in new fans. So I have two ideas that I think would fix DC. I don't think either of them are going to get done anytime soon. I think they're going to continue to try and crawl their way out of the abyss a little bit farther before finally they just metaphorically put the gun to their own head and pull the trigger and realize that they're fucked. It's one way to fix it would be a Valiant Comics style, just hard, complete reboot, reset. Let's take everything back to square one. Just very beginning, all new from the get-go. That's option number one. And also with that, like I said, very Valiant Comics style, which means you're publishing, I'm going to say maximum 10 comic books a month. Maximum. All right? Or the other way that they could do it is, and this would cost them more money, but DC takes a portion of their writers and creators and separates them from the people working on main continuity DC, take them over to the side and have them do almost like DC's version of Ultimate Marvel. You can still keep your long-standing but really fucked up main continuity going, but over here on the side, just have a couple of teams of writers and artists working on Ultimate DC, which is also a fresh, complete restart, reset from the very beginning. So either one of those ways would work, I think. But yeah, a lot of people are going to also bring up Earth 1, the Earth 1 graphic novel series that DC does, though, because that's supposed to kind of be a little bit of DC's answer to Marvel's Ultimate Marvel. The only difference is Marvel actually kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? They put more emphasis on their Ultimate line once they realized it was popular and people were kind of liking it. Ultimate Spider-Man started out and hit the ground running and was really successful from the beginning, and so was Ultimate X-Men. And so Marvel noticed this and was just kind of okay, we're going to put some emphasis on this. This shit is important. We want it to succeed. DC's done their Earth One graphic novel line, and they've managed to make a few. Like there's 3 volumes of Wonder Woman, 3 volumes of Superman, 3 volumes of Batman. I think there's 3 volumes of Teen Titans. I know there's at least 2, and there are 2 volumes of Green Lantern with a 3rd one on the way. So it's not like they've done nothing with it, but I've heard no plans of like they've built a universe at this point. They've got Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, Green Lantern, and the whole Green Lantern Corps, and all the other like a lot of the other lanterns and stuff, and they've got the Teen Titans. So they've got the foundational groundwork of the universe well established, but I've heard no plans to bring it all together into some kind of unifying story that truly shows like, one, this universe is not dead. We're going to keep publishing stories from it, and 2, it all does coexist. Earth 1, Superman, all these characters exist in the same Earth, and they can and will interact with each other. I've heard no plans of anything like that happening. I think it really should happen, and that would be another really smart way for DC to go, because it kind of combines the 2 solutions that I nominated. One, hard reset, selling only, 10 series a month, or doing an ultimate style line alongside your main continuity. Well, the graphic novels, they are kind of an ultimate line alongside the main continuity. And they also are a fresh restart if you would just put a little more emphasis into them. And there's not a whole lot of them. There's 4 series: Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, Teen Titans, 5, Teen Titans and Green Lantern. There's only 5 series. And please keep doing them in graphic novel format. Another thing about the comic book industry that's going to have to change is no one wants a 32-page chunk. Let's see here. Nobody wants to get 1/6. Nobody, like 1/6 of a story once a month. That's too small of a piece of the story with too much time in between. Like, the reason I always fail at reading single issue published comics, 32-page single issue comics, is because I get the comic, I read it, I'm interested, but it's not enough to keep me interested and waiting for the next issue over the course of a month. Usually by the time the month has come around, I've kind of forgot about the issue I read a month ago. It's just not it's not a big enough piece of the story to really get me. You know what I mean? So with the Earth 1 line, they should definitely put more emphasis on it. They should definitely expand it. They should definitely consolidate it and show that all this is taking place together in the same universe, and these characters can and will interact with each other. And they should keep publishing it in graphic novel format. So, yeah. But like I said, I don't think any of those solutions are going to happen anytime soon. I think the artsy fartsy, creative, imaginative people working in the arts, and that's what comics is. It is. I look at it as it's entertainment. I'm the customer, so to me it's entertainment, but to the people making it, it's their art. So those people, they finally wrestled control of this company back from corporate exec. They got rid of Dan DiDio. Jeff Johns left and went. Jeff Johns wasn't so much as like a corporate dickhead as he just was like he was just a true DC fan who appreciated having a continuity. You know what I mean? He understood the importance of continuity to a narrative. And that's what I liked about Jeff Johns. But they've gotten rid of everybody at DC that was very much so like, fuck your creativity, fuck your imagination, fuck your artistic bullshit, continuity. They got rid of everyone who was like that. And I think they're going to revel in their triumph a little bit longer before they finally just realize, like, we gotta shake the Etch-a-Sketch. Now, me personally, on this channel, how much I talk about like people should vote with their wallets, and if they don't like what the company's putting out, then they should not give them a single cent. That is that's our way. That's the only way we have to speed up the process of them getting to the point where they go, we got to fix this shit. Oh, how do we fix it? Full restart. So, like, that's why I preach that so much. It's because I want to push these people to get to the point where they realize faster that we need to just call it and hit the reset button. But there's a lot of fans out there too who they don't really. We've seen a lot of reboot, reset, restart with DC over the past 10 years, and I get it. There's a lot of people out there that don't want to see another one. But they're just like the artists and the writers working at DC. They are the people who they want to fight a little bit longer. They want to try and crawl their way out of the abyss a little bit longer. They want to keep trying to put the square peg in the round hole just a little bit longer. They haven't quite realized that like it's not going to work, and you're going to have to do a full restart. It's too long. Over 24 pages of computer paper long. That's the reading list, and it's too fucked up with all the reboots, restarts, resets, continuity adjustments, plot hole. It's just fucked. Just reset. Valiant Comics style reset. Ultimate Marvel style reset. Just do that. So that's what needs to be done. But yeah, so that's my take on that. And like, honestly, real quick, that's kind of why I really liked the New 52. I understand that the New 52 had its flaws, but I think its biggest flaw by far was the fact that they chose not to completely restart Batman and Green Lantern. I think everything else is negligible, and it's negligible because it's very easily fixed. Could very easily fix it. All the problems that they had with how they changed characters' personalities and made characters less likable, I think that stuff could be easily fixed. You know, the writers, once they realize the fans' reception of what they're writing is not good, they can tweak it. They can write a story where the character goes through some kind of experience that changes them and makes them more, you know, appealing to the readers. Like, that kind of stuff can get fixed. So, like, in reality, the New 52's only real mistake was not being the complete and total restart that it was supposed to be. And yeah, I don't think they should have bailed on it as quickly as they did. I think when they realized the New 52 had problems, I don't think they should have just abandoned the New 52 to go back to what we had before. You know, here we are in 2022, and hindsight is 2020. And I look back and I go, yeah, just flip-flopping back to what you had before the New 52 is not the answer. You should have taken the time, sat down, okay, what is it about the New 52 that's not working? And you should have addressed those problems, but kept the New 52 going. You should have also completely restarted Batman and Green Lantern. So yeah, that's the thing. This Dark Crisis thing, it's just another like, it's not going to be anything really. It's not going to be anything long term and permanent. It's just not. They'll have to restart eventually, pretty soon, I think, actually. So, yeah, until that time comes, I am done with DC Comics. I just really am. I am not going to try and keep up with the main comic book story. I'm not going to try and figure out what's going on. I'm still committed to my animated adaptions. That's the only saving grace we have. Anything that comes out related to the DC animated universe, the Bruce Timm Paul Dini universe, I will read and watch that stuff as long as it's canon. And the new DC animated movie universe that they have going on, like Superman, Man of Tomorrow, Justice Society, World War II, Batman, Long Halloween. I still have high hopes for that stuff. So yeah, but as far as DC Comics goes, at this point, it's time to just sit down, crack a beer, and wait patiently for them to realize that they got to just shake the Etch-a-Sketch and start over. And then things will begin to fix themselves. But that's my video. Let me know what you guys think about this. Leave some comments below. If you have any information on Dark Crisis that you think I'm missing based on what you've heard me say in this video, please leave it down below and include it. I'd always like to know more about, you know, if I'm lacking pieces of knowledge, I'd like to get them. Other than that, though, if you like this video, please hit the like button. That really helps out the channel. If you want to help out the channel even more, click that subscribe button. And other than that, I'll see you guys next time.